Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a ticking clock, specifically the countdown to artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Based on a deep dive into expert consensus, macroeconomic models, and some pretty critical defense data, we are looking at a rapidly closing window leading right up to the year 2035. We're going to explore the massive economic shifts, the incredible promises, and the existential threats that this technology presents. So let's just dive right into this.
We're starting with a chilling, yet honestly incredibly pragmatic reality outlined in U.S. Air Force documents. They quote the philosopher Nick Bostrom, who argues that superintelligence is a gamble humanity will inevitably take. Why? Because the potential to solve massive global problems is just too huge to ignore. Plus, the logic goes, if we don't build it, someone else will. The consensus in these strategic circles is that we absolutely have to implement superintelligence, with extreme care, obviously, as soon as possible to mitigate other existential risks.
Now, you might be wondering, when is this actually happening? Well, look at these timelines. This isn't some distant, abstract sci-fi concept anymore. The world's leading AI experts, we're talking Dario Amodei from Anthropic, Sam Altman from OpenAI, Elon Musk, Demis Hassabis, they are predicting AGI could arrive within the next 2 to 10 years. And just to be clear, we're defining AGI here as a system that can fully automate the vast majority of roles in our current economy. For a lot of these experts, this could literally be the last invention humans ever need to build themselves.
But that fast-approaching timeline brings us to a really staggering number. In a recent survey of leading AI safety researchers, the mean estimated probability of human extinction, or permanent, and I mean permanent, human disempowerment before the year 2100 was placed at 34%. Think about that. That's essentially a 1 in 3 chance. The stakes of this technological race are absolutely massive. We are walking a razor-thin line between unprecedented human flourishing and a total loss of control.
Okay, let's shift gears and look at the first scenario. Part 1, the promise of UBI and symbiosis. Let's explore the incredible potential upside here. If we navigate this transition without crashing the ship, how does our economy actually function in a fully automated world? Economic researchers have modeled out a fascinating worst-case automation scenario. Basically, what if AI takes over all existing tasks, but doesn't actually create any new jobs for us humans? It turns out, even in that strict scenario, the sheer robotic efficiency of AI dramatically drops the cost of goods. This creates a massive pool of what economists call AI rents. And it's exactly this giant pool of corporate AI savings that could realistically be redistributed to fund a viable universal basic income, or UBI. And that kind of abundance isn't just about macroeconomic theory. It extends right into our living rooms. According to Huawei's Intelligent World 2035 vision, we're going to see a truly symbiotic partnership with intelligent robots. By combining multimodal vision, touch, and natural language, these robots are projected to seamlessly blend into our homes. They won't just be doing the dishes either. We're talking about personalized tutors for our kids and vital health monitoring and emotional companionship for the elderly. Furthermore, the very fabric of how we experience reality is set to change. The 2035 projections show spatial computing and advanced holographic displays completely blurring the lines between our physical and digital worlds. We are talking about light field reconstruction that delivers virtual images so crisp they're practically indistinguishable from physical reality. It creates this immersive mirror reality where physical distance effectively ceases to matter.
Right, but we do have to pivot to the dark side of this acceleration. Part 2, the threat of epistemic pollution and job replacement.
As much as we can marvel at that utopian vision, there are immediate, destabilizing threats already gripping our society right now, long before we even reach AGI. The most widespread harm happening today comes from malicious synthetic media. A staggering 96% of current deepfake videos online consist of non-consensual pornographic content. The tech has made it just incredibly easy to map faces onto moving bodies with terrifying realism, causing immediate, severe reputational and psychological damage to everyday people.
And this spirals into what academics are now calling epistemic pollution. Think of it like a toxic spill, but for our information environment. Defamatory political deepfakes, manipulated audio, generative AI spam, it's all manipulating our social environment. And this isn't just about someone accidentally falling for a fake news story on Facebook. It is about the fundamental destruction of our trust in reality itself. When a video can no longer be trusted as evidence in a court of law, or when fake audio completely alters an election, our shared understanding of the truth just collapses. It can even induce false memories in the public. It's wild.
Which leads us to an incredibly tense arena. Part 3, AI in future warfare.
Because honestly, if this technology can so easily pollute our civilian reality, what on earth happens when this same rapid intelligence is deployed on the modern battlefield? We are already seeing what military analysts call the distance paradox. In modern drone warfare, the physical distance between a soldier and their target is massive, sometimes thousands of miles. But the visual and emotional distance, that has shrunk to almost zero. Operators are watching the battlefield in hyper-intimate, high-definition video feeds. Because of this, psychological trauma and PTSD are rising dramatically for operators who might conduct a lethal strike, and then literally an hour later drive home to have dinner with their families.
And this builds into a much deeper ethical dilemma. As defense departments accelerate these capabilities, take the US Department of Defense's Project Maven, for example, which categorizes and tracks targets using AI. It begs the ultimate question: who ultimately decides that a weapon can be fired? Do we actually delegate the authority to take a human life to a fully autonomous algorithm?
Look, it might be incredibly tempting from a purely strategic standpoint to remove human error, fear, and fatigue from the kill equation. But, as military analysts are quick to point out, if you remove human error, you also remove human conscience. A machine does not feel guilt. It doesn't have empathy. Delegating lethal authority to a machine fundamentally alters the intimate, deeply human definition of warfare that we've held since the dawn of civilization.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together. Part 4, Convergence, Navigating the Intelligence Explosion. As we barrel toward the 2030s, the stakes of this intelligence explosion are going to multiply. Because AI isn't growing in a vacuum. We are entering an era of convergence. A recent national security analysis by Microsoft warns that the convergence of artificial intelligence and quantum computing will create an entirely new class of intelligence. When you take the predictive power of AI and smash it together with the exponential processing capabilities of quantum mechanics, you introduce massive geopolitical shifts. The attack surfaces for nation-states expand exponentially, creating vulnerabilities in cybersecurity and global infrastructure like we have never seen before.
So, how do we survive this incredibly complex environment? Well, the analysis argues that nations have to rapidly adopt a 4-pillar resilience model. They need to elevate AI security as a core pillar of defense, treat quantum risks as a strategic horizon, build a whole-of-nation cyber resilience, and orchestrate strict cross-sector governance. These are not simple IT upgrades anymore, folks. Surviving the intelligent economy is now quite literally a matter of sovereign destiny. Which brings us to the edge of the cliff. We are standing at the precipice of a decade that will be defined by unprecedented alien intelligence. The experts tell us it's arriving, and we have to place our bets. So, what's the big takeaway here? The actions we take right now in our governance, our ethics, and how we structure our economy will answer the ultimate question for our species. Are we going to carefully build a utopia of abundance and symbiosis, or will we blindly engineer our own obsolescence? Definitely something to think about as we look toward 2035. Thank you for joining me on this explainer,